Like, okay, so if you mastered one industry, one field, what stops you from doing something else? Like, if you want to take over the world, like, you gotta become a serial entrepreneur, and that takes capital. So if I have somebody offering me $50 million to purchase Zandra, I'm taking that money and I'm gonna start something else. So I'm gonna invest into something else. Like, not to say that that Zandra's dead. Like, I'm always gonna be a part of that. But it's okay to have other babies, other children, other things. Yeah,
All right, we are back. Another episode of We Are the Ones podcast.
Here we go.
Yeah, I'm excited about today.
I know.
Excited about
this is our youngest one.
Yeah.
This is our youngest one today.
Powerhouse though, man. It's the powerhouse.
Don't get it twisted.
Listen, we thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of We Are the Ones podcast. This is the podcast where we have extraordinary conversations with extraordinary people doing extraordinary things. And man, this one today.
I know. I'm really excited about today.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about today.
I've been watching this girl grow up before my eyes.
That's
man.
true.
I have just to see what she's been able to do professionally, personally.
So who exactly is this person you're talking about?
I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that.
Okay.
I'll get to that. But before I get, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you how you were doing.
She is doing good.
She's doing good?
She is doing good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see we matching today. I don't know.
Again, we do this all the time.
And this was totally by accident.
I know.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, come on.
Damn. How are you?
I'm good. Listen, it's another day. It's cold outside, but
I know. It's Buffalo.
It's Buffalo,
It's
right?
Buffalo. It is what it is.
The sun is
nowhere in sight.
Well, technically, the sun is out.
I get it.
Technically, the sun is out.
I know where you're going with this.
Because it's daytime, right?
Okay.
So that means the
sun is out. The clouds
it's just the clouds that's covering it right now.
Very much true. But that doesn't mean that we got to get our vitamin D in, though.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely do. Because, sheesh.
Yes.
My doctor done told me a few times.
I was about to say, I remember your doctor.
Yeah. She's like, Jamil? I'm telling you, bro. But no, I'm excited. I'm excited to have another amazing podcast. We have been knocking out this second season out the box.
I know.
And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
I think I know what you're about to say.
I think this is probably gonna be my favorite episode.
I knew you were gonna say that.
This is probably gonna be my favorite one.
I knew he was gonna say that.
I've been I'm such a I'm a little older than Zandra. A little bit.
A little bit?
Just a tad.
A tad bit.
Oh.
Don't even
so
start. I will smack you with this thing. Don't get me started. There will be some domestic violence going on up in here. But again, I've had the opportunity to see this young lady grow into a full-blown woman now. And it's been amazing to watch. It really has been amazing to watch, to see her growth over the better half of the last, I'm going to say 10 plus years or so, and she is doing, you talk about doing extraordinary things and all that. This is her, so if people don't know who we're talking about the one and the only Miss Zandra Cunningham. Zandra Beauty. What's up, Zandra?
What's going on?
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Nah, we're super excited to have you on
I'm excited
today.
to be here.
Nah,
y'all was talking about y'all coordination today, but I feel like we all coordinate right now with the green and the table.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, absolutely.
Look at you. You felt the vibe?
Yeah.
It's very good.
I had a feeling.
This is my first time seeing Zandra in a little bit, and when she walked in, I'm looking at her. I'm just like, yo, she like a full blown woman now. The haircut is just like amazing,
crazy. Because when she came to the door, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Okay,
all right.
That haircut is amazing.
Okay.
Yep.
Look at her. It looks so good on you, though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was definitely I don't know. I was considering it for a while. Like, I don't know. I have a weird relationship with my hair. Like, I'm just always been natural, but like compared to my mom, like she lives like that natural, like real lifestyle and stuff. Like with doing twist outs and spending time playing your hair and dedicating it to it. all the time. But me, I've always had protective style, so I always had my hair in braids or wigs or anything that when my hair wasn't out. So like, I don't know. I feel like up and like literally right before the new year, I was like, I think I'm gonna just cut it off. Like, and then I called my friend. She was like, "Girl, cut that off." I was like, "Okay, you're right." And
it looks amazing. Listen, and trust me, the maintenance is so much easier. I actually had hair at one point, believe it or not. I did. I had hair.
Keep doing
I did. You know, like people see that I'm bald now, but like I used to have locks. You know, I had locks. I had braids at one point. The hairline, it was just like, yo, it's time to go, bro. You know.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, like being able to wake up and not have to do anything to my hair, I could just wake up and just go. You know what I mean? And well, not just go. You know, brush your teeth and take a shower first. But it's so
low maintenance.
It's low. That low maintenance is amazing.
Yeah.
You know. So, but no, I want to say that we're talking about my bald head. I want to talk about you, Zandra. I want to talk about you. So, again, thank you for coming on to the pod. You know, we really appreciate you. So, Zandra, for those who don't know, she is the CEO of Zandra Beauty. It is a world-renowned beauty brand. She started this thing, and I want to have you talk about your story because I can probably do it no justice. I do know a little bit about your story. I mean, about your backstory and how you got started. You know, literally starting this thing. You know, because you wanted some. I think it was like lip balm or lip gloss at the time. Yep. Your dad, you know. You went to your dad. He's like, nah, you know, make it your own, and you know, and you just took off running with it. So, so let's kind of start there, right? Because we like to talk about people and kind of dive into people's backstories a little bit. So, talk about that moment when you know you decided that this was going to be the thing for you. Like, what happened? Like, I talked a little bit about it, your dad and everything. So you tell that story.
Wow. So the initial story, like you said, like it was the initial, like my dad refusing to buy me any more of my lip balm, lip gloss, because I'm just obsessed.
It wasn't no investment for him, huh?
I love lip balm, lip gloss, and I've always been a girly girl and loved like being a part of like the beauty industry and cosmetics and playing in my mom's makeup and stuff like that's always been my thing. But I think the like, wow, like this could be turned into something big was, I think, I don't know, it kind of happened naturally, meaning like in the beginning, initially, like when he did that whole, like just make your own, like that sparked my curiosity of like formulation and creation and like how to bring like, okay, like how does this product just appear in stores? What makes it a product and what goes into producing this thing that I love so much? So that initially was what sparked the whole idea, but I think my love for business and really what it means to be an entrepreneur and a CEO and running a company and what that means kind of just naturally, like the love for that grew on me as I was going through it and working through the motions. Like it was never like, I'm gonna wake up and sell this lip balm now. Like it was just a gradual thing. Like it was like, okay, so now I'm learning about formulation and creation and I'm coming up with these different ideas and filling a void and needs that I need personally. Now let me share that with other people, and then I was able to turn a profit from it. I was like, okay.
And how old were you when all this started happening?
I was 9 when I got the initial like, okay, like let's start making things. And then when I think I'm gonna say my birthday's weird. It's like during the summer, so.
You said your birthday is weird?
Did you say your birthday?
Yeah, like.
Wait, what?
Sometimes when I say like, oh, like 20, we actually certified the business and like. Created it and stuff like in 2010. I was still 9 during that time.
Okay.
So like 2009, 2010, and 11, like during those.
Okay.
During that still young, but it was during those period. And honestly, I literally cannot like. Sometimes I'm just be like, I'm gonna say this a lot. Like when we go through the past and stuff, I really don't remember a lot of things.
Okay.
I remember.
You were young.
Things.
Yeah,
I know. And also too, I feel like if sometimes it feels like when one moment or one big thing happens where I'm always thinking like, okay, like what's next? So like sometimes I forget.
Oh, so
like,
so you're not living in that moment?
Yeah, and I feel like especially in 2023, I'm trying to live in the moment, you know, and not, because I hate when I do interviews and people ask me questions like, how did it feel to hear this? And I'll be like, girl, I don't know. Like, I don't even remember that. And sometimes I'll be like, when did this happen? Like, I literally cannot remember. And I feel like we get caught up in like, you know, with not the fast life, or when you're just in something, it's hard to see like from the outside looking in, and being more appreciative of those moments. Yeah. And not thinking like, oh yeah, okay, like I did that, okay, whatever. But like, that's still amazing things, you know.
Of
we can touch on that and celebrate those things. Word. So I'm learning how to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everything is a you know, it's learning process, right? And you're growing and you're learning things as you continue. Because you're still relatively young, right? So, but
you are. How old are you now?
22.
Okay.
Got to get our lives together, right?
Oh my God, she's 22.
Yeah, we got to get our lives together. Well, I'm only a couple years older than her, so.
You're still gonna stick with that? Okay.
So you said something just now that I want you to kind of talk to it just a little bit. You know, as you were going through this process of, you know, creating your business and your love for entrepreneurship started to grow, what was it about entrepreneurship that like really that you started to gravitate towards?
I think the biggest thing about entrepreneurship, I like the hustle, or the hustle, and then also like the gamble, if you will, like, because I mean it's a big risk involved in being an entrepreneur, and I feel like which kind of turns a lot of people away, just the fact that there's no guaranteed win. I mean, we could say you put the hard work, dedication, sometimes things just don't work out,
right?
But I think the part that is so exciting is that when you put so much passion and just drive and just time into something, and you know, like in your heart that like, oh, this is gonna be big, or this is gonna, like, I'm keep working at it and keep my head down and you know, just be in it, and then seeing other people see that and then also experience it, I think was the biggest thing. So like, not only was it the hustle, but I think it was having people experiencing the products and seeing and hearing how they loved it and how it changed their lives and how it inspired them to start doing what they wanted to do, or have a jump start on, or just making them think a different way. I think was what made me fall in love with being an entrepreneur. Just like, I feel like it's just being a trendsetter and just starting like something that you were doing just for you, and now you're able to celebrate it and share it with the world, and they have the same impact. Like your message got across. I think that was the biggest thing for me. I was like, okay, this entrepreneur, I could do this. You know, it's tough, but that was a worth it thing for me.
So you started with lip balms, but Zandra, you are into a lot more than that now. What made you start to expand your product line outside of the lip balms and the lip glosses that you were doing? So
honestly, it was me. I mean, me have sensitive skin, and during the time when I was, you know, formulating and dibbling and dabbling, and it was a hobby, and I was just experimenting on what I wanted to do, a lot of the products that were on the market at the time weren't meant for my skin. They had a whole bunch of chemicals and a whole bunch of random just garbage in it that did not work for my skin. And the alternative was either, you know, whatever whack label, you know, whatever like the doctor prescribed to you. You know, if you had like eczema or something, like, you know, you get prescribed, you know, something that wasn't cute or fun, or something that you wanted to go to school and show your friends. Like it was like,
yeah, I can't go to school. My new eczema cream.
It made it not exciting, and it made it feel like it was like an insecurity or something that you should be ashamed of or something. So when I was, you know, when I figured out I can create a lip balm, why wouldn't I be able to make lotion or soap or things that actually work for my skin, but then also was something that I would walk down the aisle of the store and be like, oh, I want this, like this is cool. And then also you can look on the back and recognize the ingredients. Like, you know, it's going to be working for your skin, and it's also going to be amazing as well. So I think that was the initial aspect of me, like trying to scale and, you know, grow the brand. Obviously, like, it makes sense to scale, you know, in business, you know, it makes sense. But I think that was for me, that's really why. Any product that I would see, like, oh, like, that didn't work for me, but I would get inspired and be like, well, I can make a plant-based version of this that actually works for me and eventually other people.
So, okay, because when you're, you know, 9, 10, 11, you're growing this, and you talked about the formulation and creation of it. What sort of research did you do being that young, you know, and what did you find as in the products and ingredients that you use now?
Yeah, so initially it was my friend Google. It was a lot of, you know, watching YouTube videos and seeing how other like makers and I feel like once you like, I don't know, have you ever like been on social media or been on like the internet and just go down a wormhole, like you like researching one thing and then you end up on like 10 different sites because now you want the whole like, and I feel like that's how it was. Because, and also too, this goes out to anybody who's interested in making plant-based or natural products. A lot of that information is online for you. Like it's not.
It's not no secret.
It's not. Yeah. It's not. So I think the thing that makes you unique is how you promote it, how you brand it, and then also to what formulations you can blend up together. What works for you, what works for other people. But what I found was that one, it wasn't that hard, and two, I think the hardest part was actually getting the formulations down.
Okay.
But sourcing the ingredients wasn't a big thing. I think it was about learning which the properties of each ingredient, what it's good for, what it's not good for, sourcing those things.
All that science in that. Was that kind of tough for you being young?
Yeah,
and doing that?
It was. Because I understood it just because it was something I was like, something I'm interested in, so I thought it was like kind of like just cool, like okay, whatever. But I didn't really understand. I'm a genius. I know this. But I wasn't thinking like, oh, like this has like good properties. Like I wasn't thinking like that. I was thinking like it smells good.
It's a 9-year-old, right?
Like so my mom, she did help me out a lot in that. So it was a learning experience for both of us. I mean, we had a whole and it even a lot of the products and stuff that she was using at the time, she realized like literally we went like once we started doing our research and started actually being in our kitchen mixing stuff, everything that we thought that we knew about skincare or beauty or even food or anything was out the window. Like, and I feel like food and like just anything that goes in and on your body, there's so much stuff that goes with it, like just that goes in it that affects your daily life, your mood, your mental health, like everything. And you don't think about that. You're just thinking like, oh, I'm gonna put on my lotion, but how you got a lotion if it has certain chemicals or certain properties in it that's like making you more stressed out or making your skin dry out faster, and it just has just so many different levels and layers to it. So learning that was a big deal for me as well. So like wanting something that made me feel good, and then also was helping my skin in the long run as well.
Did you see like lifestyle changes happening in your life?
Yeah.
Because you, like you said, you're experimenting with all of these new products and such. Come on,
my next question.
So with all of these products and everything, the vegan products and you're seeing how the benefits of these things, right? Did it make you start to have other transitions in your life, like you said, well, from what you ate or things like that?
Yes. So definitely from like what I started to eat, and really going from being like a preteen to a teen, and then into early 20s, like I missed out on a lot of things that I feel like other young people missed out on too. Like in regards to like having like knowing how to like nurture your skin. Like it's a big thing. Like I feel like normally like you go to like we have like acne, hormonal acne, all that stuff. Like I didn't have those. I mean, I had some, but it wasn't so severe where it was like an issue where I had to like go to a dermatologist, and like it wasn't anything like that. And I feel like that had a lot to do with the products that I was conditioning my body to use, and only putting things on that it wasn't gonna react a certain way or it wasn't gonna change to the balance of like everything.
That's amazing, Zandra, because what I'm hearing though is that had you not started your business, your lifestyle would have been completely different.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so you're going through this business. When did you realize that, oh, this is bigger? Like this is becoming bigger than I expected, or did you always?
She already knew. She knew.
Nah,
she knew
not even.
From 9 years old. She was like, "Yo, I'm about to make this $1 million business."
Got this tomorrow.
Yeah.
Nah, not even. I think the biggest like, oh snap, that this is like a real thing was. I think when we got our first big PO, and that was when I won the Etsy Open Call, and that was when I was 16, I believe. And that was like our big like purchase order, like when we was like started to produce thousands and thousands of products at a time. And that was like, oh gosh, like I didn't like like it was so like crazy just because we were just in it, and like. But it was like we had a moment, like it was like me and my parents, and that was the year both my parents decided to, leave their corporate lives to work for Zandra full time, and then eventually venture off into their own, starting their own businesses and stuff. But that was like our moment where we were like, okay, we're all in. Like this is like a big deal. Like we we're all in to the point where we're all going to work together, and this is gonna make us or break us, and it was making us. So, and from there, that just started like Target and launched like everything else, because it was like once we made it through, like that was our first time mass producing, and it was like our first time like doing like, for batches we probably were doing like maybe like 100 batches of like a lip balm or lotions at a time. Now we trying to figure out how to order new equipment and fit it in here, and moving into do a different manufacturing facility, because we were outgrowing it and we needed to produce hundreds. We needed to produce 300 at a time or 500 at a time instead of just doing 100 at a time. So that was a big deal, and I think that was when we were like, oh snap, like we need help. Number one, we need help, and this is crazy. And even though like we felt like that was gonna break us, like we were like, okay, like this is either like we're gonna get through this, or this is gonna be the time where we just like we cannot fulfill the order, or we just have to like, or some people just don't survive. And once we made it through, we're like, I cannot believe we did that. And then next year later, now we produced a Target, and that was triple what we thought was that we couldn't handle. So it was just absolutely nuts.
So you talk about the manufacturing facility, right? I remember. Come on, we here. But I remember that facility because the street that I used to live on before I bought my house, it was right over. It was the next street over.
Okay.
And I remember coming there a couple times, but one time particularly, I think it was for your birthday party that I came over there for, right? And I saw the space, and I was just like, man, this is amazing. This is like incredible over here. And the fact that you are, like you said, now you're kind of outgrowing that place now, I think it speaks volumes to just how much you guys are growing and scaling and things like that, right? So, but I wanted to talk about this real quick. I wanted you to talk about this because you had mentioned your parents and them going all in on the business. As a young CEO, as a young teenager CEO, how's that dynamic, right? Because like that's still mom and dad at the end of the day, but you're still CEO.
That's such a journey in itself, because initially it was just me and my mom, like it was our thing,
right?
And then and my dad, he was there, but he was just more the financial piece, like, well, we need money for this, like he would just give it to us, and that'll be that. But he didn't really start to see or notice like what we were really doing, and like how like, oh wow, like this can be a thing. Not until that Etsy thing, because I think that was the first time he actually see me like speak or pitch for the business or something like that. And they talk about this all the time, because I'll be like, and because that was a moment for my mom and for me to be like, we be doing this all the time. Like, what do you mean? Because he had that wild like, I had no idea. I had no idea my daughter could do this, and I was like, so we all were like, well, duh, what you think we've been doing all this time, So I think that was that was a cool thing for my dad to actually like see. So that was like his like, okay, like I'm on board and stuff. My mom, she's been there from jump, but we had a different relationship in regards to like how like just the development of it. Initially, it was kind of hard because she got a strong personality, I got a strong personality, and I felt like a lot of times she would outrank me sometimes just because it was my business and it was my ideas and stuff, but she stood up there. I still gotta go home with her. Yeah,
that's still mom at the end of the day.
I wake up for school the next day, so it was. So I felt like our relationship was kind of strained for a while, just because I felt like, again, going through the time, me being so young, and then in school, like, yes, I committed to this, but I didn't understand what commitment meant at the time. So yes, I loved the business and I was so interested about it, but if my friend was calling me to go to the movies, I was ready to do that. So it was a lot of, I felt like, why are you trying to dampen my fun? Like, I just felt like she was just trying to hold me back from having a good time. So, but at once I realized, like, no, she's just doing what she's allowing me to realize what I committed to, and making that known and being consistent on it, and saying like, okay, like you want this dream, then you have to show me, and you have to stay committed to it. So at the time, I couldn't stand her for it. So, but now I'm so appreciative, just because it's just like, had you let me just, go with my friends all the time, then it wouldn't have turned out. I wouldn't have the appreciation I do now. Yeah. So, but now, I mean, thick as thieves. All of us, we have our moments. Definitely when we don't like see eye to eye and
all that stuff. Families.
Like all families. Yeah. And Zandra is definitely a family-run business. My name is Jamil, my uncle, my brothers, everybody be all hands on deck when it comes to Zandra. But I feel like everybody knows that like when we talk about Zandra and the company, we don't talk about, it's not like it's my thing, like everybody, like, and my parents, I think, did a really good job with that. Like I have 4 other siblings, and most of them are boys. I mean, I have an older sister, but she's a lot older than me, and she lives out, and she's married with 3 kids and stuff now. So, but my brothers, they were all into sports and stuff, so they all play like pro ball or semi-pro. Yeah, big dudes. Really? Yeah.
Okay.
Zandra's well protected out here. Let's no. So don't be trying. No, listen. Don't be trying to run up on Zandra, y'all. I promise y'all don't want that smoke.
No, for sure. They mad big.
Yeah, they are. I'm like, damn. How your mom push these things up, man? Like, them boys.
Oh, they're huge.
They're big,
okay.
No, they really are. It's a whole football team. Like they're big. But since so everybody had their own thing, so it wasn't like this is. But in the beginning, we did have initially like, okay, well, this is a thing. Like I'm gonna, this is the business, and we're, we want it. It's a family-run business, so we all got to work together. So we can all reap the benefits or whatever. So I think that was an important piece that we had, and our family is really open and really big on communication. So we have like, at least once a month we have a family meeting and, talk about where we are and how we're feeling about everything and making sure everybody feels included. But then also too, like, it's not like I'm just, here and I'd have to, feel like you're being forced to do something you don't want to do. Right. So, but my brothers, they come and they go, but best believe if we have a big giant order and we need all hands on deck, they'll be there.
They'll be there. Very good. So I have a question, because there are a lot of people out there who has a product. When it came to you finding a facility,
are we be my next question? But I'm sorry. Go ahead. That's crazy.
It must be the blue.
It's the blue today.
It's the blue.
That was damn sure about to be my next question. But
okay, so can you tell us some things to watch out for or to look for when it comes to finding a facility in order to distribute their product?
I think it would depend on what type of business you have, whether it's a service or a product-based business, and what exactly like you're making. Whether it's clothing, I mean, for me with skincare, the biggest thing, we started at the Foundry on Northampton, and that was a great space because that was like the first space that actually like took a chance on me. And they were like in that, like I literally resourced that building right when they were on their come up as well.
Right.
And it was and it was like the idea, it was like incubator for, new makers, new artisans to, have a space where they can creatively, like, express themselves, but then also like they can work out of. And the rent was fairly, it wasn't super expensive, so it was reasonable. And they built the studio, our little section, out to what we wanted it to be. However, we couldn't stay there because we outgrew it. But also too, that was like a real like warehouse, and it wasn't meeting the GMP standards. Like had like somebody from the health. I feel like we would be violating health code, so we had to go. So once we realized, okay, this is going to be a big deal. Like I want, like, and I said, like, okay, my goal is to be inside stores across the nation. Like we need to be serious about it, like because we don't want to. Because I've seen or not even just kid businesses, but just businesses that go viral or get noticed really fast, like have that overnight sensation or that overnight fame. And of course, what comes along with that, everybody's congratulating all the things, but them people is looking at ways to shut your stuff down. Like, I mean, like I've known like businesses that like literally they got famous, went on Ellen and did all these amazing things and had to shut down because they were violating health codes, or they weren't like, or their facility wasn't up to par, they weren't meeting the right standards, or whatever it is. Even with that pink sauce lady, I heard like that's another thing. She was I think she was violating health codes, I'm pretty sure.
Pink sauce?
Yeah, the pink sauce.
Yeah, like it was like a TikTok thing that went viral or whatever. But like that's the downside. If you don't have your ducks in a row, then like we wanted to make sure like we were legit from the start, like making sure our paperwork and everything was in order. So like just preparing ourselves. Like, and I think that's the biggest thing too. Like whenever you're starting out, having all your ducks in a row is essential.
Yeah. And would you say does that come with like a lawyer, with some sort of financial advisory team? Like what does that look like to make sure all your ducks are in order?
Yeah, I wouldn't say right off the bat get a lawyer and stuff, but I would say doing your research and then outsourcing from there. Mm-hmm. So whether it's business, like making sure that you're getting your business certified, and what that means, like I don't think that you should throw a whole bunch of money all at once, especially if you don't have a whole lot to start. But I think as you grow, you set aside a budget of just things that like we got our LLC, so now we focus on getting our other certifications and making sure that we find a touchdown into a manufacturing facility that meets our requirements and stuff. And then from the pharmacy, we ended up going to Great Arrow in the Pierce Air building, and that was just another industrial, big property, but it was different. Yeah. I mean, it's still like warehousey, but we were able to really from head to toe design it the way we wanted. We wanted to do it. Mm-hmm. And they were just really, really accommodating, and it just made sense. And we've been there for about, I feel like almost 10 years. Yeah,
I remember y'all moved in.
I know. And now actually we're thinking of leaving Pierce Arrow to go to, we've been shopping out. I don't know. We're just ready. And so now we're sourcing different manufacturing facilities, but my goal by the end of this year is we purchase land out in Gasport, Lockport.
Come on, okay. That's what's up.
Okay. And I want to build my manufacturing facility out there. Yeah. That's my biggest thing. I want to have a real Zandra headquarters, so mass producing everything.
Okay, so I have a question with that. With you building, I know that you are big on donating, especially to young girls, to women of business and things of that nature. In that facility that you're going to build, do you see something with that as well, to have girls come, because you're really huge on that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think we have the Zandra TLC Foundation, and I think and that goes along with the Day of the Girl that we do each year. We haven't done it since COVID, really. Okay, yeah. Just
pandemic shut a lot of things down.
It just stopped a lot of things in the works. But hopefully this year it'll be different. But yeah, that was a big deal for me. I love doing that. I love being able to experience. I don't know, just seeing young girls just getting to experience things that they haven't experienced before is a big thing for me, because I feel like I was exposed to so much at a young age that shifted my mindset to where I am now. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of youth miss out on that, just because they're just not targeted,
right?
Not exposed to it. So definitely. That'll be a part of the I mean, because we host a lot of we do different community events even at the facility we're in now, and we do workshops or classes, or people book parties and stuff. But being able to see, because some people they say you're the person who made the products, but actually coming and actually seeing the facility and being okay, seeing it from the scrap idea to empty tube bottles to now it's sitting on the store shelf. You're oh wow, this is you do this here, this is a real thing. Yeah. And then also too, to see happening in Buffalo is a big deal too.
Yeah.
So it's oh, so you make this in Buff. Okay, so it's we don't this is a real thing, and there's a lot of big and cool things happening in your own city that you kind of overlook, or you just don't know about.
Yeah, people that exposure is everything.
Absolutely.
Right? So you've been very successful in your business, able to turn this thing into $1 million brand. A big part of that is, getting your stuff into stores like Targets and things like that, right? So, there are people out here who have product-based businesses, give them some steps. How can they get on Target's radar, right? So for them, if they're looking to kind of get their products into stores and things like that, what are the things that they need to be doing to prepare themselves to get to that next level?
I think the biggest thing is having that brand recognition. Yeah. A lot of these big chain stores changed their whole everything to focus on small businesses, because that's what the consumers are wanting. They don't want generic and the big giant commercial. Right. People feed into I don't want to say feed into they're being hoaxed, but people love feeling like, one, if they have a connection to you, you being the brand owner, they love your messaging, they love what you stand for, whether you give back or it's a social good or whatever it is, but they love those brands. So, you know, it's to think of any your favorite small business, like you see them popping up more. Like there's literally a whole section now in Target and Walmart, like literally like all that. So I think the biggest thing is having that brand recognition, meaning like they're coming to the stores, they're going to come to the stores to see you, and also just like the really good following. So the brand recognition and the really good following, I think, is the biggest thing. Like they want people that are just gonna, you know, just fly off the shelves and all that good. And also too, I think the biggest thing too, like whenever you're reaching out to these stores, having a really good brand deck is a big deal.
A brand deck?
Yeah. So basically like showing how, I don't know, it's really stupid, but basically like it shows like how like what. Basically just a pamphlet of what you want to sell inside Target, or say just Target, for example, what you want the shelf to look like, where you want to be placed, like have basically having your whole idea what you want to see when you walk into the store already mapped out is a big deal for them, because I feel like it feels like that you have an understanding that you know your product and you know exactly what you want to do, like you're just really direct and you just know what works for you, and also too, because a lot of their time down. Because if they're having like a lot of people sending them things like they want, you know, this is going to set you apart, because then that means that you mean business, you've done your research, and you know what's going to work there, what's not going to work there. Sizing of products matter. Like it goes down to like little things like that. Like if it's too big or too small, like is it going to fit next to another product, or do they have to build out you a whole section? Like what is that going to look like? So, so I think that's what I think about in regards to like product sourcing and finding just homes for like inside the retail stores and stuff.
Brand recognition, having the numbers, the followers,
the brand deck,
make sure y'all get that brand deck up to par,
knowing what you want your section to look like.
You know, so all of these things, because like, and the one thing that I absolutely love about this story, Zandra, especially coming with us, you know, coming from Buffalo, you know, often Buffalo is overlooked, right?
Yes.
When we look at like when companies out here raising millions of dollars, you know, Series A funding and all that type of stuff, you know, Buffalo is usually like that blip on the map, right? But you have shown and you're proving that you can build this incredible $1 million brand at scale and be based here in Buffalo, New York, because there are a lot of people here. I mean, Buffalo has a lot of entrepreneurs. You know, everybody has a business for something here in Buffalo, right? So, and I'm sure everybody will love to have the same success story as a Zandra Beauty, right? But you know, sometimes they just need to be exposed to it. You know, and that's why I think this conversation is important, because this is part of that exposure to it. You know, so. It was another thing I wanted to ask you before we started to wrap up, but I really wanted to get your take on this, because I have my opinions on it, but I want to know what you think. So recently there was a story that came out from, I think it was Miel products. They just sold to Procter & Gamble, right?
I saw that.
Yeah. So, and oftentimes when we have Black-owned brands who, you know, sell to these companies, you know, Black Twitter started going crazy. You know, the community starts going crazy. Like, oh, you got to keep it in the, you know.
I got my opinion. You told me this already.
So that's what I want to ask you. I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Like, do you think that it's a good idea or not so good idea for people to sell? And if you do think it's like, whatever you think, would you ever be in a position, like if a Procter or Gamble or anybody were to approach Zandra Beauty and gave you an opportunity to exit your company, you know, to sell it, would you do it?
Yes. That's my answer. Yes.
Okay.
But I feel like it's that question is different for each company, because I feel like in the beginning thing you have your ideal goal, like what goal you have set, and also have an exit strategy, or what's the end like result, like where do you see yourself, like where does it end, because it has to end at some point. Does it end with you having a lifestyle brand where you're passing it down by legacy and generation to your kids, leaving it to your kids? That's great. But if your end goal is to live out on a beach somewhere on your own island and stuff, then you might have to, you know, you have to have somebody to replace it and to keep it running, or do you just want to make your millions and shut it down and go away. So I think it's a personal question that every business owner has to ask themselves. So it's different for everybody. But I will say majority of the Black-owned brands that we know and love, whether it's hair care or skincare, are not Black-owned. So they, whether they kept it quiet or if they made an announcement, majority of them are not Black-owned, but they've already been bought out. But my take on that is really just, I think people underestimate how tough it is to be the CEO. And like, and not only that, because I feel like your job, once you get to a certain point, your job as CEO is to basically just source some money, where you go like raising funding and, how to just keep that cash flow going. And that's a lot of work. Even if you made your millions, even if you made your 2 million, keeping that flow running, it's a lot. And it's really challenging, especially when you're already at a disadvantage from other people. And us being part of the Black community, we're at a disadvantage.
Right.
And it takes a lot to go in there. A lot goes into it. So me being a Black woman in business, I don't want to be going through all this stuff, sourcing capital and finding this and filling out. I think it's a whole lot of BS. And if I had and we actually were in talks to one of our investors that wanted to buy out Zandra, and initially I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't think I want to be a sellout, But I think it goes into like what my initial plan is and not mine. And I want to be an investor for other kid business owners. And like I don't want what I went through, somebody else to go through. I don't want it to be a whole big thing sourcing and finding funding for things. Like, you have this great product, you have the vision and people believe in it, you have all this stuff, but yet all the things that they say that are out there for you are not out there for us. Like, go to your bank, they're gonna give you the
we know that doesn't happen for us.
It doesn't happen. It takes too much. It takes a lot of unnecessary stuff, So I think people need to not judge so much and be so harsh about when I think it's a thing to celebrate, because now you have the freedom to do whatever next, and it doesn't necessarily mean that your legacy is gone, and it also doesn't mean that they don't have any say inside that company either. True. So you may not be the majority owner anymore, but you still have some voice in there, and if you have a good relationship with your the people who bought you out, then you could have cut a deal or something where it's like you have creative control, and and a lot of these brands a lot of these big giant companies that buy these Black-owned businesses, they don't want to change nothing. They just want to take the lead. I mean, they have the resources, they have access to billions and connections with like L'Oreal and all these big giant brands that can push your business out and take it to a different heights that you had no idea you didn't have access to before, right? That can do it on a larger scale very quickly, very easily, that you weren't going to be able to touch in a year, as opposed to took you 10 years to do. So like, I think I don't know. I don't think it's that bad. Like, I just don't think, like, I just think people just need to like think of like the bigger picture about it, and like
be more open-minded, right? Be
more open-minded, and again, like a lot of like, I feel like we need to reap our benefits as well.
Yeah, I think it's very easy for people to do the Monday morning quarterbacking. Like when you're not in the game, but yet you have so much to say about whether or not somebody's selling out, if they're selling their company and such. Because what the word that I'm hearing, you didn't say it, but the word that I'm hearing in everything that you're saying is leverage, right? So you can take once you exit your company, you can leverage, the resources that you now have for something else. I forget the gentleman's last name, Richard. He was Shea Moisture, right? When he sold Shea Moisture, and people obviously they criticized him like crazy for that. But then he turned around and he bought another black institution, Black-owned brand, Essence Magazine.
Exactly. Right? So like it frees you up to do the next step. Like, okay, so if you mastered one industry, one field, what stops you from doing something else? Like, if you want to take over the world, like, you got to become a serial entrepreneur, and that takes capital. So if I have somebody offering me $50 million to purchase Zandra, I'm taking that money and I'm going to start something else. So I'm going to invest into something else. Like, not to say that Zandra's dead. Like, I'm always going to be part of that. But it's okay to have different other babies, other children, other things.
Yeah, you know, when people talk about like, oh, you're passing, you're stopping generational wealth from happening. You know, you're supposed to keep it in your family. Look at the example of like Walmart, for example, right? So because Walmart, that's a family-owned company when they started it, right? Mm-hmm. They don't own 100% of the company right now. It's a publicly traded company. Right, shareholders own a good portion of it as well. So, it's like, to your point, you just have to look at what other opportunities are out there for you to leverage, because you could be doing so many other incredible things. You started this company, and some people, they get into the business, they start a business, go exit, and go start another one. So, and they just keep flipping and returning like that. So I think people just have to they got to change their whole mindset. So
it's kind of like real estate and business.
Yeah. And I think this is back when we had the opportunity to sell, and we were like, no. My dad told me, he was like, it's better to own 1% of something rather than to own 100% of nothing.
That's it.
And I think a lot of that holds so much power in that, because if you think about it, a lot of these brands that businesses are going public, and like you said, like Walmart, they don't own 100% of it, because why would you, when you could own 1% and that 1% be worth 100 million, as opposed to you own 100%, you still trying to make 1 million. So it's just like, sometimes in order to grow and to scale, you need to expand your team. And sometimes expanding your team means adding on investors, adding on the people that what you don't have, and what a lot of people run into the problem is you end up running out of money. There's new opportunities coming, opportunities have been knocking at your door about this and about that, or you want to be in this store, you want to be in this store. Well, that takes capital, and that takes money fast. Mm-hmm. And that's why you go to these investors, and they say, well, we'll give it to you, but we're going to need a percentage, because they want a return on their investment, which makes sense. Mm-hmm. But that's just the name of the game of business. And if you know, like, business for real, like, that's not a bad thing. Like, it's not horrible. But I think it's just educating yourself, and then again, like, depending on who you are and what your end goal is. Mm-hmm. Everybody has it looks different. Yeah. Some people want that, keep it in the family only, and you're gonna pass it down to generation. But I feel like I want my legacy to be. Well, my legacy is changing over time. Like, I don't know. I don't want to say exactly what I want it to be, and then it change a year from now. But I think I want it to be. I don't know, since I'm still growing and I'm still learning, I have tons of things that I want to do, and I don't want to limit myself on anything. So I love Zandra, and I love the brand, and I love where it's going, and I want it to be an empire, and it's going to be an empire. But that's not going to be it for me. So it's just going to be the beginning. It's going to catalyst me to new heights, new ventures, and just interests me.
You're so young.
Yeah, we're so proud of you.
You're so young, and you're doing it. You are an incredible inspiration for myself. Only being a couple years older than you, Stop hating, yo.
I'm not.
But no, you are such an amazing role model for so many.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Men and women alike. I mean, people can draw a lot. Not only just from your story, but from this conversation, right? And I'm hoping that, someone was able to take something from this, and like, they know, okay, this is what I need to do to try to get to that next level, whatever that next level looks like for them.
Right.
Yeah. So, but you are an incredible person. You're an incredible human being.
Thank you.
And we are uber proud of you. You're always welcome back on the pod. I want to have another conversation with you, because I wanted to dive even deeper into the business side of things, like really teaching people some stuff. But that's another conversation for another day.
I'll be back, y'all.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, if people wanted to connect with you online, connect with the brand, how they can support the brand, plug some of your stuff.
Absolutely. So the website is zandrabeauty.com, and then my social media handle is at Zandra Azariah, and then the business one is at Zandra Beauty. Right, and we're on all social media outlets. So.
Yeah, we're gonna post all this stuff in the show notes. But Zandra, thank you so much for this conversation. We really appreciate you. It's been amazing.
Watching you grow. So she's 22.
Yeah.
Okay.
22. This is my Jordan year, y'all. I'll be 23.
Come on, let's go. So thank you guys tuning in for another episode of We Are the Ones podcast. Make sure you check us out on all of the major streaming platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. We're on Audible as well. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, and make sure you check out that YouTube channel, man. It's growing, it's growing really fast, and we're on all social media, at We Are the Ones podcast across all platforms. So make sure you check us out, and we appreciate y'all support.
Remember, keep winning on purpose, because you are the one we've been waiting for.